Hey everybody, I'm Chef AJ, the queen of quick and easy, healthy, plant-based cooking. And today I'm going to show you a recipe from my latest book, Sweet Indulgence, on page 53. It's called Frozen Fruit Cobbler. And what's great about this recipe is you probably have all the ingredients already. It's really 3 ingredients plus a few spices. I make this whenever my freezer is getting so full and I need some more room, because I keep a lot of things like frozen organic blueberries and frozen bananas and things like that in my freezer. And I also make this recipe when my bananas are super ripe, because you'll need a few of them. These are great for recipes, these bananas, when they're this level of sweetness. And I often just peel them and freeze them to make banana ice cream, but you'll need a few of them to make this recipe, and it's so easy. So take your favorite frozen fruit of choice. I'm taking blueberries, but you can use any frozen fruit in any combination. Just keep in mind though, frozen fruit, while equally as nutritious as fresh, sometimes even more so because it was picked at its peak of ripeness and flash frozen, sometimes it's not as sweet as fresh fruit. I find that particularly with strawberries and raspberries, but certain frozen fruits like cherries and mangoes and blueberries always tend to be very sweet. So if you find that this isn't sweet enough, you might want to add a little bit of date paste to the fruit, because the bottom is just fruit. And so I'm going to take my berries and I'm going to pour them just like that. That was 2 pounds, because this was a 4-pound bag and I've already made it one time, in a Pyrex dish. And again, any combination of fruit would work. Now, when you use frozen fruit rather than fresh fruit, what happens is it kind of makes like juice on the bottom. I actually like that, because then it's like baked in blueberry sauce. You won't find this happens as much if you choose to use fresh fruit, but sometimes frozen fruit is much more cost effective. So we're just going to make our simple topping. When you think of what the ingredients are in this, it's kind of the same as eating morning oatmeal. It's basically fruit and oats. So I already took a couple of the bananas and put them in a blender. I saved this one just to show you how ripe it is. This is the level of ripeness I like when I'm using desserts, or even maybe a little more ripe. Now, you can use frozen bananas that have been defrosted, but keep in mind that when you defrost frozen bananas, they're going to be very liquidy, and you don't want to throw that liquid out because that's where all the sweetness is. So sometimes you have to adjust a little bit of whatever the dry ingredients is, adding a little bit more. And then we're just going to blend these bananas. So now I have my banana puree, and I'm going to pour it over my dry ingredients, which are rolled oats. And the spices I'm using are cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, and vanilla powder. If you want the recipe, just click below the blog and you'll get the recipe. You can print it out, or you can buy the book if you'd like. So I'm just pouring it over. I've been making this, I want to say 15 years. Some of my favorite combinations are mango and cherry, but again, whatever I have. So we're just creating this little topping here. It's always a good idea to check the recipe, make sure I didn't forget anything, because when you have as many recipes as I have now, 157 in this book, it's possible that I don't have it memorized correctly. And it looks like I do. Now, people are always asking me what a substitute for banana is. And the thing is, I can't really tell you, because it's really going to depend on where you're using it. In this particular recipe, you might be able to get away with some applesauce. But remember, things are going to vary in their sweetness and their texture. So substitutions aren't always an equal or 1-for-1. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour this over my fruit. It's yummy. Just a more fun way to eat oatmeal, if you ask me. It's sometimes just easier to use your hands, so I'm just going to wet my hands. They are clean, and then spread it over the top. Sometimes it's just easier to use fingers than forks. And this is going to bake for about 40 to 45 minutes at 350, but you could see how quick and easy this is. Imagine like company shows up at the last minute for dinner. You could make this in a flash, because what's great about this is it could be served hot right from the oven, and then so fun to put banana ice cream on it. It can be served at room temperature. It could be served warm. It could be served cold. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and when it's done, I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's done. So I've taken it out of the oven and it is cooled, so I'm ready to plate it. And if you don't have a Pyrex, you can use a silicone baking pan to do this as well. Actually, these are probably easier to clean. And so I am just going to scoop a little out. I love using the frozen fruit because then you get all that juice on the bottom and it's yummy. And then I can take some of the juice and even put it on top. It's really mostly fruit and just a little bit of oats. It's almost like having blueberry syrup. And you can add things to it, like if you do any kind of plant-based whipped cream or plant-based ice cream. Let's see how it tastes. It's really good because it's not too sweet, and that's how I like my desserts. But if you want it sweeter, just add a little bit of date paste to it. It's yummy. It's so healthy you could eat this for breakfast. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Chef AJ. If you like what you see, maybe subscribe and even give me a thumbs up. I make healthy taste delicious. Take care. Yum.